my dear friend. My name is Dr. Ashwani Ranjan. I have done my MBBS from Aligarh Muslim University and my MD in Preventive Social Medicine from AIIMS, New Delhi. Today we will be discussing and understanding the epidemiology of coronavirus, the biomedical waste management in case of coronavirus patients, the special guidelines and all. And we will also discuss about the screening test stats of coronavirus. Like we will discuss the Bayes theorem, how the test gives false positive and false negative, and we will also discuss some other important epidemiological concepts. Okay, so let's start our discussion. So in the coronavirus thing, the first thing which we must discuss is about the app which is developed for tracking of patient and helping other patient in being aware of their surrounding. Okay, so this is the app Arogya Setu. You all must be aware of it, and the free helpline number is the 01075. This is the free helpline number for coronavirus patients, or if you want to get any information on coronavirus. Okay, so you can have this number. Now, along in this Arogya Setu app, they not only tell you about your fever by asking 6-7 questions. They ask question regarding, do you have diabetes or not? Do you have hypertension or not? Are you a doctor? Are you have traveled to the foreign country recently or not? Okay, to find out whether you have a contact history or whether you are high risk for corona or not. So after answering this 6 question, first thing you get to know is whether you are suspected case of corona or not. Second thing this app tells you is how many people in your surrounding area are positive, like in 500 meter, then 1 kilometer, then 1.5 kilometer. Okay, and how many of them has recovered, how many of them are still positive. This all comes in the app. Now this is one app. The second app of Government of India is known as Kavach app. Okay, so that is e-Kavach app. Okay, so what is this e-Kavach app? This is the app on which patients can communicate with doctor directly. Okay, can communicate with doctor. Okay, so it's simply telecommunication app. Okay, on which you can communicate, and if you have any issue, it will be solved. But there is one more thing related to Kavach. That is, the Government of India has approved that they will use the ELISA test for COVID by the name of COVID Kavach ELISA. So as you all must be knowing, ELISA test detects the antibodies, and here the question that they may ask in the exam is that they are detecting immunoglobulin G antibody. Okay, so this Kavach ELISA test is not for screening of patients for coronavirus, because screening is done by RT-PCR and all. Why this we are doing? This we are doing for surveillance purposes, and we are doing it in hot spots. So please remember that COVID Kavach ELISA is developed in India, of course, in Pune based National Institute of Virology, and the purpose of this app is surveillance. Okay, in hot spot area. And you understand what are hot spot, where we have a lot of cases, that area is hot spot. Okay, so it will detect immunoglobulin, and these are the two Kavach thing here. Now let's talk about the biomedical waste management, because our National Pollution Control, Central Pollution Control Board, CPCB, okay, this has given the guideline, Central Pollution Control Board. This board has given the guideline for dealing with the biomedical waste generated in the patients. Now, the first thing is that everything has to be covered in double layered plastic bag. All the plastic bags should be double layered plastic bag, first thing. Second thing, they said that it should have written over it that it is COVID-19 waste. Okay, COVID-19 waste. Okay, labeled bags. So all the bags in which you collect the waste of COVID-19, you will put this mark over it. Third thing, if you are collecting waste from quarantine center or isolation center, suppose nowadays, suppose I became positive to corona. Now the government is now not having enough area for quarantine, and they don't have enough space left till by the day of 6th of June. What they are doing is that even if a doctor became positive, they say go to your room and be quarantined there. And now because we don't have facility to keep every patient who is positive in a quarantine center, so they will say even to a doctor that go to your room and stay in the quarantine. If you develop any symptom, then only you come and then only we can give you bed. Okay, so most of the isolation that we are doing now is at home. But suppose there is some quarantine center, okay, or like our home, suppose it can be an isolation center. So the quarantine center and isolation center, they have to collect all the biomedical waste in yellow plastic bag, double layered yellow plastic bag, okay, because in this quarantine center and all, you don't have this incinerator and all this facility, okay. So in this center they say that collect biomedical waste in yellow, of course, double layered plastic bag, okay, yellow plastic bag. And where they will dispose it? They will have to dispose it in the common biomedical waste management treatment plant, okay, common biomedical waste management plant or treatment plant, okay. So how they will send it to that area? A van will come, and that van will collect all this biomedical waste from different quarantine center, and then that van will go to the common biomedical waste treatment center, treatment facility or treatment plant, okay. So that vehicle which is coming to collect all this yellow bag, that vehicle must be sterilized, okay, must be sterilized first by 0.5% sodium hypochlorite solution, okay. With the help of this sodium hypochlorite solution, you have to sterilize, not sterilize, but in fact disinfect, and because 0.5% sodium chloride will not kill everything, so it will only disinfect, and sterilize, or you can write better is disinfect, and disinfect. So this vehicle must be disinfected by 0.5% sodium hypochlorite before and after collecting biomedical waste from, you understand, from the quarantine center or from the isolation center. So in the quarantine and isolation center, all the corona related waste will go to yellow category bag. And of course, if you have any garbage generated from there, let's say plastic wrappers or food leftover, then they will go to the black category bag, okay. So let's see all this thing which we have discussed in this image. One small image we have which will discuss these things. See, they are saying that this is all the pollution control board. They are saying that if you have this N95 bag, N95 mask generated there, then you have to keep it for 72 hours before giving it to the vehicle which is collecting it. And as for 72 hours, they say that you have to keep it separately so that it cannot infect other people. Now, all it should be double layered bag. And why they are showing you the black color bag? So we all know that black is for garbage. Okay, so if you have any garbage, that will go in black. Now, mostly they throw it in 3 category in hospital. But if it is a quarantine center or an isolation area, then only yellow colored plastic bag will be used for everything. Now, let's come to how will you throw the things when you are in a hospital. So in the hospital, different hospitals are following different guideline. Like according to the AIIMS New Delhi guideline, which is available on the YouTube, and you should go on the YouTubes and look on the AIIMS Corona Basics guideline. These are series of 7 lectures, and if you are going to give this AIIMS exam, I can bet that around 50% question will be from Corona. I think so, because in their MD exam they have given 100% question to their MD student from Corona. So they will form around 50% question from Corona. So please look at these all AIIMS Corona Basics guideline. There is a series of 7 lectures, and all these lectures are only 5 or 10 or 12 minutes. So it will take hardly 1 hour to go through all these basic guideline through those lecture series. Okay, so please go through that lecture series once, and that's my personal request, and go through that, because this is very important area for your exam. Okay, now let's look at the guideline given by the Pollution Control Board, because in AIIMS they throw it in 3 red category bag only. Red category bag 1, bag 2, bag 3. But that is not the uniform guideline. The uniform guideline given by Pollution Control Board, they say that for red bag we will throw all the PPE kit: goggles, face shield, splash proof apron, plastic cover, and although helmet suit and all, that's hazmat suit and nitrile gloves they are using, which you have to throw here. Now you understand, all those things which are made up of hard plastic and which are not very much infectious, they can go in red color. Okay, so that's why you have the sterile gloves, nitrile gloves, and a big thick gloves that will go into this category. Then you have the splash proof apron, the plastic aprons, that will go, and most important, goggles and face shield, they also go in red category. Okay, now in AIIMS guideline, what they say that there is red 1, red 2, red 3. In red 1, they say throw goggles and face shield in red 1. Okay, so you can write that also, that in AIIMS guideline they say goggles plus this face shield, goggles plus face shield, they will go in red 1. Okay, that is the AIIMS guideline. And in red 1, what we do is we can sterilize by 0.5% sodium hypochlorite. Okay, and after sterilizing by 0.5% sodium hypochlorite, wipe, and then wipe by 70% alcohol. Okay, you can then after sterilizing it, you wipe it with 70% alcohol and reuse the goggles and the face shield up to a fixed extent, and not keep using it, but because they can reuse it, so they throw it in red 1. Now in red 2, they have the other. In red 2, you have the nitrile gloves, okay, the PPE kit, okay, and thick aprons and all, plastic aprons and all, okay, plastic aprons and all, they will go in red 2, okay, according to AIIMS guideline. And all the things which we have written in yellow bag, this yellow bag is known as red 3 in AIIMS guideline. But in national guideline, they call yellow bag as simply yellow bag. And in yellow bag, they have this N95 mask, first of all, because mask is more effective than your goggles or face shield. And goggles and face shield can be reused, and it has hard plastic. So we throw mask in yellow. First of all, remember, mask yellow. Second, shoe cover, okay, and disposable linen. Linen means cloth. So all the things made of cloth should be thrown in yellow category. Mask should be thrown in yellow category. Shoe cover, usually they use shoe cover which are not very thick, so they throw it in yellow color. And then non-plastic coverall or thin plastic or non-plastic cloth cover should be thrown in yellow. So basically, yellow is for mask, yellow is for shoe cover, and yellow is for linen clothings or linen cover, okay, and red is for all the other things which have greater amount of plastics, like the PPE kit, like you have the nitrile gloves and all, and they all go in red, okay. And in AIIMS guideline, they throw goggles and face sheet separately in red one because they can reuse it, okay. But in exam, if they have not written about AIIMS guideline, always tick answer according to the guideline by National Pollution Control Board, NPCB. And in NPCB guideline, please go through this image once more before your exam to make it clear what goes in red, what goes in yellow. But it is very simple. Red have all the plastics which are thick. Yellow will have mask, shoe cover, and linens coverings or clothing coverings. They will go in yellow. Okay. Okay. Now, next thing, let's revise some of the things which we discussed before that all of it should be 2 bags. It should be covered in 2 bags. And if you are collecting it from a isolation area or from a quarantine area, then you will use only yellow color plastic bag, again 2 layered. Okay. So hope it clears how we dispose the biomedical waste generated from corona patients. Okay. Now, the third area of question from corona patient can come from the various event that happened, and what are the timeline of event that we can discuss. So in the timeline of event, we all know that the first thing that happened was in 31st of December. And at that 31st of December, what happened is that officially the Chinese government officially reported pneumonia cases by novel coronavirus. Okay, pneumonia cases by new strain of novel coronavirus. Okay, that is why it is known as COVID-19, because it was first came in 2019. We all know that. Now, the main thing is that when they reported it, novel coronavirus, it was mainly among people who go to the market, animal market, mainly among sellers and visitors of animal market. Okay, so first cases were mostly found from animal market, and this is one of the reasons why we suspect that it has a zoonotic origin, and it is originated from, of course, animal, and most likely it is from fruit bat. It is from bat. Okay, fruit bat. So why it is from fruit bat? The reason is that the 98% genetic material of novel coronavirus resembles the coronavirus which are found in bats. So 98% genetic resemblance is there from the coronavirus in bat. That's why we think that it has originated from bat. Now, of course, it occurs among sellers and visitors of animal market. But what was the area where it occurred? Of course, in Wuhan. But this Wuhan was the city. Okay, this Wuhan was the city. If they ask you where is the province, which province has these cases, then the answer will be Hubei. And so please remember, Wuhan was the city, Hubei was the province. Okay, so this was the first case in 31st December. Now, after the first case on 31st December, on 9th of January, okay, on 9th of January, this China government gave full genomic description, okay, full genomic description of coronavirus, description of novel coronavirus. So please understand that there are 3 names of coronavirus. One is novel coronavirus, that was given by the Chinese authorities, that because it was the new coronavirus. We all know there are 7 other variant of coronavirus, so it was the 7th new entry in the gang, so they named it novel coronavirus on 9th January. Then on 10th January, they reported the first death, of course, due to coronavirus. Then on 30th January, there was first case in Thailand, okay, outside China, first case in Thailand, okay. Then 23rd January, this Chinese government, they know that now it is going to be a pandemic, so they put a strict ban in the Wuhan city, okay, in the Hubei province, okay. So 23rd Jan, there was what you can say curfew, or better word is not curfew, is something which is related here. So from 23rd January there was lockdown, okay, lockdown in Wuhan, okay. And I came from China on 24th of January, okay. So I was tested at the airport, but only for fever. So that is one of the reasons why we have so much cases in India, because when it was declared as an epidemic, even then India allowed all the person to come from the foreign country till 23rd of March, okay. So because of that, a lot of people came into India with this disease, and it was also spread in our country as well as other country. Now after 23rd January, what happened is, this is the map showing you the Hubei province, and if you can enlarge it, you can see it. This is the Hubei province in the red area. This is the Hubei province in which Wuhan city lies, where the cases originated. You all know that. So I was telling you that on 23rd January lockdown happened, and on 30th to 31 January it was declared as public health disease of international emergency, okay. So that is the next case, है ना, declared as public health emergency of international concern. Which day? So that is 30th January, but the implementation came around 31st January, है ना. But 31st January it was like told to the world that we have declared it, है ना. So 31st January it was the time when it was declared as public health disease of international concern, okay, 30th January. Then what happened is that on 11th of March it was declared as pandemic. So 11th of March declared as pandemic, 30th January it was public health disease of international concern, है ना, public health emergency of international concern on 30th January, okay. And 11th January it was pandemic. Then what happened on 22nd March, that was the lockdown time for India, है ना. Lockdown in India started. Lockdown in Indian air travel, है ना, on Indian air travel, है ना. Air travel was banned on this day. And then after that there was lockdown from 24th, you all know that, है ना. Okay, so these are some of the timeline for coronavirus. Next thing which they can ask about COVID-19 is, what is the definition of a confirmed case, a probable case, and a suspected case of coronavirus, okay. So confirmed case is one with positive test result with or without any symptom. Is this a correct statement? Yes, it is correct. And this is a very big issue, because I will discuss it with the help of Bayes' theorem, that I will discuss it in the class only, today's class only, that 50% are false positive and 50% are true positive on PCR test, okay. So if you are tested for COVID-19 and you are positive, still there is 50% chance that you are wrongly said as positive. There is a chance that you can be given a false positive report. And a false positive means you don't have corona, but you tested positive. Why? I will explain. And according to Bayes' theorem, because it is a rare disease in the population, so that's happened that if 100 people are tested, then 1 out of 100 will be the true person suffering from corona and 1 will be the false person. So there is 50% chance that you are positive but you don't have corona. Okay, this is recently being acclaimed by the American scientists also. There are 6 papers published on this thing, that the testing is not very confirmatory. Okay, so this become a very big debate, because now you are giving confirmed case to everyone who are tested positive, but there are 50% people who will be wrongly classified as positive. Okay, and this information government used it very well. In the initial day, they only tested it on Muslim population. So because that population was mostly tested and on traveler, so only 2 population were tested in the initial days. So in the initial day, the government plotted this picture that it is occurring in Muslim population. But the reason was that if you selectively test it in only one population, then there will be 50% patients will be there and 50% false cases will be there. Okay, if you are not doing the test on other population, then the picture will look like only they are the one who have the cases. So anyway, so you can change the thinking of the people by using this sensitivity or specificity of the test. So that's a big tool, which can be used for good or bad. Now we will discuss that, how it give 50% false positive. We will understand at the end of this class. We will discuss it in detail. But this is a correct definition that confirmed case means positive with or without symptom. Now, which is a probable case? Probable case is one with non-conclusive test. Okay, and non-conclusive test means PCR test was done but result was not clear, so it is probable case. And suspected case means that case, suspected case should have 1 out of 4 thing. Keep it in your mind. They can give a separate MCQ on suspected case. First thing is, suspected case is one which came in contact with a person having travel history in last 14 days. So suppose I came from China on 24th January and my brother met me on 25th of January. So after 14 days from 24th January, if I met with anyone, then there is a chance that I can spread them. So if there is contact history from foreign traveler in last 14 days, then it can be tested and it can be a suspected case. First definition, contact history. Second definition is, if you are a medical person and you have the symptom. Okay, remember, in the suspected case should always have symptom. If there is no fever, no cough, or no difficulty in breathing, then you cannot be a suspected case. So government is testing only those people who have the symptoms. So this question, in which the option third written that person with travel or contact history to corona patient are suspected case with or without clinical symptom, this is a wrong statement, because if you are a suspected case, you must have clinical symptom. So I was discussing what are the 4 definition of suspected case. First, contact history in last 14 days to international traveler. Second, if you are a medical professional, a nurse, a cleaning staff, a doctor who was working with corona patient and who have symptom. Okay, so that is the second criteria. Third criteria, if you are in contact with a corona positive patient, let's say your family member has corona and you are in contact with that and you develop symptom, then you will be tested. And fourth and last is, this is a new entry in the suspected cases definition, that if you have severe respiratory disorders, like if you have breathing rate more than 30, okay, if your oxygen saturation is less than 93%, okay, this denote that you have severe breathing difficulty. So if you have severe difficulty in breathing along with fever and cough, which cannot be explained by any other reason, then you are taken as a suspected case. Okay, so hope you will remember the 4 thing: contact history, medical person with symptom and contact history from a family member who is positive and have symptom, or severe respiratory disease without any other explanation. So these 4 can be suspected case, and we are doing test only in these 4. Okay, now you please remember what is confirmed case, what is probable, and what is suspected case. Now, I will like to tell you something about the classification of this coronavirus. The order from which it was derived was nidoviral, and because I could do a mistake in the spelling and also I have pre-written it, it is nidoviral, which is the order. The family is Coronaviridae, the same family, and the subfamily is Coronaviridae. Okay, so they almost resemble, the name are almost similar, but you can remember the order is Nido. Okay, there is Nidoviridae is the order. Okay, now taxonomically this coronavirus is beta coronavirus, because beta coronavirus is the one which occurs in mammals only. Okay, because there are other type of coronavirus also which can occur in both mammal and bird, but beta coronavirus occur only in mammal. Second thing is it is of lineage B, and they call it as sarbecovirus. Okay, now when we are discussing taxonomy, we also should discuss the two name of coronavirus. Novel coronavirus was given by China, so we are not using novel coronavirus anymore. There are two name of coronavirus. One was SARS-CoV-2. This name was given by International Taxonomy of Virus. Okay, there is international group who describe virus based on the taxonomy from which it came. So why we are calling it SARS coronavirus 2? The reason is that this coronavirus 2, it resembles the around 80%, okay, 80% genetic material resemble SARS. Okay, and we all know that this SARS epidemic, this SARS, it occurred in 2002. Okay, it occurred in China. Okay, in 2002, 2003, and there is 50% resemblance, 50% genetic material resemble MERS. Okay, what is MERS? You all know, Middle East Respiratory Syndrome. Okay, so how does SARS and MERS originated? That we will discuss in the later upcoming questions. But the point you have to remember is that its main resemblance with is SARS. So that is why they call it as SARS-CoV coronavirus 2. This is the guideline given by International Taxonomy of Virus. Now, what the WHO gave, and WHO named it as COVID-19. This is the name given by WHO. And what does COVID stand for? This is simple: coronavirus disease 2019. Okay, it is not coronavirus discovered in 2019. It is just coronavirus disease 2019. That is by WHO. And who gave, you understand that. Now, as I was saying, and how it originated, and there is a big controversy on the origin. But as I was saying that 50% is resembling to SARS, 80% to SARS, 50% to MERS, there is also 98% resemblance. 98% resemblance of genetic material, okay, of genetic material you understand, of genetic material of COVID-19 with coronaviruses found in bat. So because coronavirus in bat have 98% resemblance with it, so we think it is started with bat. Now, from the bat where it has originated, there are two ways through which it can reach to human. First is through intermediate host. and it has not been confirmed, but they said, the WHO said, and there are other organizations which are discussing it also, that pangolin, okay, which is a black color mammals, pangolin, you can search it also, the image will be there, you might have seen it. And people in China and other countries also, they eat the scales of pangolin and all, because it seems they think that it gives you long life and more vitality and all, and so it is widespread culture to eat this pangolin. And in animal market of Wuhan, they keep a lot of animal one above another, okay. So if the blood and saliva and urine of one animal can easily come to other animal. So when this coronavirus, which was present in bat, it entered into intermediate host, then there was some mutation when it mixed with pangolin, and then from the intermediate host it came to man. This was one way. Second way is that bat was, let's say, eaten by human, and because we have seen the video where they show that Chinese people eat bat. It's all their culture, and it's their choice. But because of this bat, it originated, that is for sure. Now it can be either through pangolin from animal market, or it can be human, from where it can go to other human. Okay, so these are the two ways through which it has gone. Now, if it go from intermediate to human, we call it as spillover. What do you mean by spillover? Spillover means that the genetic material of coronavirus entered from bat to intermediate host, and from that it is scattered or spilled. Spilled means something came out and it got spread, so it is spilled over to human. Spillover means there is transmission from the intermediate host to the human accidentally. So accidental spread is spillover, you can say. Okay, spillover also means that from one species of animal it is going to other species of animal. Okay, now this is what we think, and there is still there is a controversy, and they say that there are some strains of vaccines from the bat which was experimented in Wuhan, and in the animal market, near the animal market, there was also a lab of Wuhan which was doing the experiment on vaccine. So many scientists, they also say that the vaccines which are tested in that lab of Wuhan, China, that vaccines or that coronavirus might have gone to some animal, and those animal are accidentally sold in animal market, or they are sold by some people in animal market, and therefore the people started to have the disease. But anyway, it must been originated from bat, either from a vaccine or from a intermediate host or from eating bat, but the origin is definitely bat. Now let's also talk about the size of the genetic material and how it is. Okay, so if you ask me which are the what is the genetic material of it, so please remember, it is enveloped, it is helical, it is single standard RNA, which is the genetic material of COVID-19. Okay, now next question they can ask is the size. This is the 50 to 200 nanometer in diameter. Okay, this is the size in diameter. Okay, and the population genetics analysis says that this COVID-19, SARS-CoV-2 can be of L type or S type. Now L type is more lethal. Lethal means more infective, more virulent, because it spread more. And this L type, it came from S type. So S type gave birth to L type, and L type is more dangerous. But fortunately, S type is the one which is major type causing pandemic. So please remember that S type is more commonly found and it is more commonly causing pandemic, but L type, which came from S type, is more infectious. Okay, now let's move to the next part of the genetic material again, that it is positive sense and non-segmented genome. Please remember, positive sense, non-segmented genome. Okay, now what are the gene used for screening test of COVID-19? So there are two type of screening test. One is a screening test by N and E gene, and this is the screening test by N and E gene of COVID-19. Okay, and if they ask you what is the confirmatory test for COVID-19, then that is done by RDRP gene. So RD-RP gene is for confirmatory test by RT-PCR, and if you are doing the screening, then it is N and E gene. Okay, so screening N and E, confirmatory RD-RP. Now, which of the sample is taken for? In India, we are taking nasopharyngeal and oropharyngeal swab. Okay, and of course, it is from upper respiratory tract sample, है ना? Upper tract sample, है ना? Respiratory tract sample. But sputum, okay, or suppose you are taking some sample by going into the lower respiratory tract, okay. So sputum or lower respiratory tract, sputum or lower respiratory tract samples, they can also be collected. If we are not getting positive result from nasopharyngeal and oropharyngeal swab, then we go for a sputum or lower respiratory tract sample, and this sputum and lower respiratory tract sample is more chances of showing viruses, okay, because this is lower respiratory tract sample in which the virus usually accumulate, है ना? So the better chances, the more sensitivity is when you collect it from the lower respiratory tract. But for the RT-PCR test which we are doing, we are collecting nasopharyngeal swab and oropharyngeal swab, both of it. So remember, both of these sample are collected, not only one. And when you are collecting the nasopharyngeal swab, you must have read by now that you only use plastic swab. We do not use wooden swab for collecting sample. And when you are using the swab and you are going on this nasal cavity, so if you are going in the nasal cavity by the swab, do not go like this longitudinally deep, है ना? You have to go perpendicular. Just like when you are putting a nasogastric tube, you go perpendicular because the hole is just below here and it's not up here, it's below. So you have to go perpendicular. So this plastic swab, it goes, this plastic swab, it has to go parallel to palate. Okay, you have the palate here, parallel to the palate you put the swab there, and you don't just take the swab right now, you have to keep it there for some time and turn it if possible and then bring it out. Okay, so the testing is sometimes painful for the patient. Luckily I have not been tested yet, and hopefully this testing is something which is a bit problematic, but you can collect. When you are collecting it through a oropharyngeal swab, you will collect it from both tonsils, of course. In the oropharyngeal region there are palatine tonsils, so you collect it from both palatine tonsil and back of oropharyngeal area, है ना? Oropharyngeal area. That means tonsil are on the side. You also cross it, touch the uvula and go back to it, है ना? Back side of the oropharynx. Okay, so from these area we collect the sample. And if you accepted my advice and if you looked into the video given by AIIMS New Delhi on basis of coronavirus, basis of COVID-19, and then on that YouTube video you will see the images how they are collecting the sample and all, and it will be very helpful. Okay, so go through it please. Okay, now next thing is that which of the following is correct sequence of hand washing. So in hand washing, it's very simple. First of all, we take soap and in our hand for 10 seconds. Every step has to be done for 10 seconds. First point. Second point, first palm to palm. Then second, we also put finger in between and do it like that, है ना? Now, this is the second thing. After putting finger, what is left is this interdistal area is covered, but we have not yet covered this part. So in the second step, after going through this, we go in the back part, है ना? So first the plantar area, then the back area. After the back area, we do it like this, and now we go inside and we clean this part and this part. This is the third, and then after this third inside we go for the thumb, and after the thumb the next we go for the nails. Okay, so these are the steps. So if you will look at the steps here, first is palm to palm. This is the first one. Second is palm over dorsum of each hand, and palm over dorsum, backside. Palm to palm with finger interlaced, and palm to palm with finger interlaced is this thing, and also this thing, palm to palm with finger interlaced. So this is the third. Then tip of finger and nails of opposite palm, this is next. But fourth is this thing. You put thumb and you turn it like this. Then in the fifth you will do it like this. This is the fifth. And then in the sixth you go till the wrist and clean it. And then without touching the nail, without touching the tap, you have to close the tap and bring your hand like that. So please remember, these are the 5 steps. In the 5th step we put the thumb, and the last 6th we go it till the wrist. Okay, so the correct option is 1, 2, 3, 5, 4. C is the correct option. That is the correct option. Okay. Please, you can also go at the WHO website. They have this image showing these steps. Okay. So please remember, it is 1, 2, 3, 5, 4. Now, what is the correct sequence of wearing PPE kit? Okay. So they can ask it, very common question. And again, if you go at AIIMS website, they have videos showing it how to do it. Okay. So go through it. Now in this, first of all, we put gloves. After putting gloves, we put body gown. After putting body gown, we put shoe cover, because shoe cover should come above the gown. So first gown, then shoe cover. After putting shoe cover, we put the mask. Okay. And after putting mask, then we put the face shield, because face shield is something which is like this, and it hangs over the mask. So always mask will be put first, then only we can put face shield. And after putting face shield, now we put the second layer of gloves. Okay, so this is the correct sequence which I have given, so that it become easy for you to remember. You can remember it B, S, M, F. These are in the center. First you have to put gloves, then you have to put the body gown, then you have to put the shoe cover, then the mask, and then the face shield, B, S, M, F, and then end also with gloves. So this is the first gloves, then B, S, M, F, and then second gloves. Okay, hopefully you will remember it. B, S, M, F, body gown, shoe cover, mask, face shield. Okay, B, S, M, F. Okay. Okay. Now, what is the correct sequence for removing PPE kit? So when you are removing it, first of all, we remove the shoe cover. Then we remove the outer gloves, because there are 2 gloves. So first we remove the outer gloves. After removing outer gloves, you first remove the face shield. One reason why we are first removing the face shield, why you are not removing the apron first, because the apron in PPE kit mostly comes with a hood. So your face shield is putting a cover over the hood. So you cannot remove the apron without removing the face shield, because face shield is like that. So first you remove the shoe cover, then you remove the outer gloves. After removing outer gloves, first remove the face shield, because only after removing face shield you can remove the head cover, and then you can remove the gown. Okay, so after face shield you remove the gown, which also have head cover. Then you remove the inner gloves, and you also wear the gloves again. And then in the last step, when you come out from that area, then you remove mask. Okay, so this is the step. Again, I have written it in the correct order to make it easy for you to remember. And the correct order is again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It is B is correct. And in this also B was correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so I cannot write any mnemonic over here, but if you apply this concept that shoe cover is above the body gown. So first we have to remove shoe cover before removing gown. Second thing which is above the body gown is face shield. So first we remove shoe cover, which is above the body gown. Then we remove the outer gloves. Then we remove the face shield. Then we remove the gown. Okay. And after removing the gown, we once remove the gloves, then take it again. And then in the last step, we remove the mask. Okay. So please speak it in front of anyone and look some video for it so that it become more clarified. Okay. Which of the following is not a virus of Coronaviridae family? And we discussed this is the family name. And there in the Coronaviridae family, there are 6 viruses, 6 coronaviruses, which was already known. And this, as I said, this 7th one is the new entry in this gang. So what are the 6 coronavirus which was present? First was the SARS, which you understand that it originated from bat. From the bat, it went to civet. Okay, civet is black color cat, but big cat, black color. Okay, you can again see the image. And so in SARS, it go to civet, and from civet it go to human. So civet was the intermediate host. Okay, this was the intermediate host. And when does it occur? The SARS, when does it occur? It occurred in 2002. Okay, 2002 to 2003. Then next was MERS. Okay, so please also remember that the case fatality rate of SARS was around 10%. Okay, 10% case fatality rate. That means what happened actually was that from the SARS there was total 800 death and there was 8,000 reported cases. Of course, the cases, original cases will be much more than the reported cases. But please remember that in case of SARS, there was 800 death out of 800 reported cases. So how do you calculate case fatality rate? Case fatality rate is very simple. It is you divide the death due to a specific disease by number of cases and you multiply it with 100. So if you will solve it, you will get the answer as 10%. Anna, do I need to solve it? 800 by 8,000. So this will cancel. It will be 1 by 10 only, Anna, into 100. So this 10 will cancel it. So you will get 10%. Anna, the 10% will be the answer, no doubt. Okay, you can do it. So the case fatality rate in SARS, which was in 2002, was 10%. Now let's come to the second, MERS. MERS, it also originated from bat. Please remember, MERS did not originated from camel. Harrison has clearly written that the origin of MERS was bat. From the bat, it went to camel. And from the camel, it went to human. Okay, how it went to human? Either because of eating camel or because there are camel races and all event in the Saudi Arabian region. So among the camel handlers, it was found. So MERS, it occurred in Saudi Arabia first. Okay, and this, of course, SARS occurred in China. It was in 2002 and MERS occurred in 2012, just after 10 years. Now, this is the MERS. In MERS, what was the case fatality rate? The case fatality rate was around 34%. Okay, so please remember, in the MERS, the case fatality rate was 34%. In SARS, the case fatality rate is 10%. And what about the case fatality rate of coronavirus? If you look at the COVID-19, okay, then in case of COVID-19, the case fatality rate, they say, is from 3% to 6%. Okay, it varies in different country. Okay, so it ranges from 3% to 6%. But the scientists say that the case fatality rate of 3% to 6% may not be correct, because there may be many cases which are not detected yet. Okay, so the scientists are saying that because of undetected cases, case fatality rate is around 3 to 6%, because we don't know all the cases. But actual case fatality rate means, you understand now, if this disease occur in 100 people, if suppose 100 people have MERS, then out of them 34 will die. If 100 people have SARS, then 10 will die. If 100 people have COVID-19, then out of them 3 to 6% can die. 3 to 6 people can die. Okay. So the actual case fatality rate, because we don't know all the cases, so the actual case fatality rate they say is 0.7, only 0.7 per 100. Okay. So the actual case fatality rate is very low, 0.7 per 100. Okay. So please remember about this thing. Now, these are SARS and MERS, the two member of the coronavirus family. The third strain of coronavirus family was 229E. Okay. The fourth strain was HKU1. HKU1. So how you have to remember these strains, and how you will remember? Very simple. If you add 229 and 1, it will become 230. So remember 229E and then HKU1, and you will have to give your interest to remember it, and focus on it, and it will be remembered. Next, there is this fifth strain is NL63, and the sixth is CP43. Okay. So it was not CP80, it was CP43. Okay. So these are the 3, 4, 5, 6, and what was the 1 and 2? We already read SARS and MERS. So this is the total category of the viruses. 7 viruses, 6 are this, 7th is COVID-19. Okay. So what was the wrong answer? Wrong answer was CP80, because it is CP43, not 80. Okay. So it's easy to remember, because 63 and 43 and 20, just 20 less, and it is 229 plus 1, 230. Okay. So 229E, HKU1, NLCP, NL63, CP43. Okay. Let's come next, which is wrong about coronavirus viridae infection. SARS epidemic started from China in November 2002, correct? And what was the intermediate host? Civet cat, and a civet was the intermediate host. MERS epidemic occurred in 2012 in Saudi Arabia, correct? MERS did not emerge from bat, wrong. MERS also emerged from bat, then it went to camel and then to human. So this is the wrong answer. Okay. HKU1 coronavirus caused pneumonia cases in 2005, it is correct. In fact, 25% cough and cold which occurred in USA is due to coronavirus, not new coronavirus, but the remaining 6 coronavirus, they cause around 25% cough and cold cases by 6 coronavirus, which was present before 2019. This is the data before 2019, that 25% cough and cold cases, of course, in USA was by 6 coronavirus, and because no such study was done in India, but it was done in USA, and 25% is already found, and then the novel coronavirus added to that. Okay. So all is correct except that MERS did not emerge, because it actually emerged from bat. Now the next question is, which is wrong about coronavirus infection? SARS had mortality rate of 10%, correct? MERS has mortality rate of 35%, correct? COVID-19 has mortality rate of 2 to 3.7%. This was the initial figure. This was the initial figure. Okay. Now in May, 30 May, they say that now it is around 5% case fatality rate. So now it is 3 to 6%. Okay. And SARS infected patient typically show upper respiratory symptom. This is not correct according to Harrison. Okay. The reason why it is not correct, because Harrison has written that SARS infected patient do not typically show upper respiratory symptoms, and many present with pneumonia, okay, and diarrhea, with or without diarrhea. Okay. Diarrhea also occur in COVID-19 cases, but especially in SARS cases it was found that either pneumonia, which is lower respiratory tract, of course not upper respiratory tract symptom, or there will be diarrhea, and which were more common. So it is written in the Harrison again that SARS do not have typical upper respiratory symptom. Mostly patient present with lower respiratory tract symptom or diarrhea, that is gastrointestinal symptom. Okay, so if you ask which is wrong, D is wrong, absolutely wrong. C was correct. C was correct in the month of April, but in the month of June, now we have a case fatality rate around 5%. So it is something which is different now. Okay, now let's come to which of the following is wrong. So the H5N1, it occurred in Vietnam first among people exposed to poultry. This is correct. H7N9 in China exposed to poultry, correct. Neuraminidase inhibitor are given early for treatment of influenza. This is also correct. But if someone asks you what is the drug of choice for influenza, the drug of choice is of course oseltamivir. Okay, you must be knowing it for influenza. Okay, we give oseltamivir 75 mg BD for the treatment. Okay, oseltamivir is the drug of choice. Now, surprising fact is that Harrison has written that younger age is associated with lower risk of complication of H5N1. This is something which is written in Harrison. So this is also correct. And D is also correct. So basically this question has all the 4 options correct. All 4 correct. Okay. I should have written a 5th option as all of the above was correct, which is correct. So the surprising thing is the 3rd one is also correct. We think that younger age should have more pneumonia. But Harrison has written that younger age have lesser complication of influenza. Okay. Now let's move ahead. Which of the following is not found in coronavirus patient chest CT scan? I should not have put this question because it is mainly from radiology part. But anyway, I have put it. So now you have to read it. It is air bronchogram, which is found in chest CT scan. Ground glass opacity is very commonly found. Cavitation in lung parenchyma is not found. So what is not found in cavitation and lymphadenopathy? These are not found. Okay, cavitation and lymphadenopathy are not found. What are found is air bronchogram, ground glass opacity, and there will be consolidation which will be present. Okay, consolidation areas, okay, present. Okay, so the correct answer is C, which is not found. Not found is cavitation, okay, or lymphadenopathies and all. Now, last question in this series is what is wrong about hantavirus? So hantavirus is something which originates from rat. So wrong is that it is cases emerge from fruit bat. This is wrong. What is correct? The very characteristic of hantavirus is that in hantavirus, first there is a decrease in platelet count, that is thrombocytopenia, which is very characteristic, not found in other thing. In COVID-19, there is leukopenia. Leukopenia means there will be decrease in the WBC count. Okay, but and there can be decrease in thrombocyte count, but it is not so characteristic. But in hantavirus, there will be decrease in thrombocyte count, very characteristic, and it occur due to rat, and it mostly occur in rural areas only. Okay, so just after coronavirus, hantavirus cases were also found in China, but then the news does not spread because maybe it was contained or another cases was not too much in number, or maybe the government suppressed the data. But all 3 are correct. D is wrong. Cases did not emerge from fruit bat. Hantavirus has nothing to do with fruit bat. Okay, fruit bat is something which has to do with Ebola and Marburg. Okay, Ebola and Marburg both are category A bioterrorism agent. Okay, and they both occur by eating meat of fruit bat first. Then after eating meat of fruit bat, when one person get infected, that person can infect other people also. But please remember, category A is Ebola Marburg, which occur due to eating meat of fruit bat. Now, category C is something which have newer agent. So there is a very high chance that they will add coronavirus in category C because it is also newer agent. In category C, as you all must be knowing, we have Nipah and we have Hanta, which we just read. Hanta from rat and Nipah again from fruit bat. Okay, fruit bat. Okay, so it is likely that corona will also be added in category C, newer agent. Okay, category A will also have anthrax. You must be knowing it also have botulinum. Okay, it also have plague. You might be knowing it. Category B have ricin toxin, staphylococcal toxin, okay, psittacosis, okay, and ricin toxin, staphylococcal toxin, psittacosis, brucellosis. These all come in category B, and category C have only two, Nipah and Hanta. Okay, so they may ask about bioterrorism agent also, because now it is very much linked. Now let's look at the disinfection and disinfection which we are doing in coronavirus. There are 4 ways to destroy it. First is of course soap and water, which is used only in case of personal protection, and that we have to wash hand for a minimum of 20 seconds. Minimum duration, please remember that the minimum duration to wash hand is 20 seconds. Okay, and this is only for personal protection at house or at hospital also, you know that. Now let's come to the second one, that is alcohol hand sanitizer. This alcohol hand sanitizer should be 70% when you are using it for surface cleaning. Like I said, that if you have goggles and face shield, you first pour it in sodium hypochlorite, then you wipe it with 70% alcohol. So for every surface which we clean, we use 70% alcohol solution. Okay, and if we are using it in hand, it should be 60% alcohol. But WHO say that using sanitizer is good, but using soap with water is better than using sanitizer. Okay, that's the WHO recommendation, that soap with water is better than sanitizer. Now, if we are using sanitizer, it should be 60% for our skin surface and 70% for all the non-living surfaces. Okay, now let's come to study about hypochlorite, because that is the main thing which we are using, the bleach solution, sodium hypochlorite. And they have written that the minimum concentration of 0.1 hypochlorite, but we don't use 0.1% anywhere in the guideline. In the guideline, we are using 0.5% sodium hypochlorite. And there are 2 uses of 0.5% sodium chloride. First is, if you are disinfecting all the surfaces, all the area of the isolation ward and this all, then for all the surfaces, you use this sodium hypochlorite 0.5%. Okay, plus surfaces. Plus, nowadays you might see in the news that in the AIIMS also they have made a area through which if you pass, they will put some fog on your body, like a welcoming gift or something. So that is also 0.5% sodium hypochlorite. So this 0.5% sodium hypochlorite is not only used for surface, not only used for disinfection, but it is also used for as a fogging agent, as a space spray when you are entering into area. That is 0.5% sodium hypochlorite, and entry area fogging, okay, is also done by this 0.5% sodium hypochlorite. Okay, sorry, where did I went? Kahan chala gaya? This thing. Entry area fogging is also done by 0.5% sodium hypochlorite. Okay, now the fourth is hydrogen peroxide, and hydrogen peroxide is something which we also use, and they say that minimum is 0.5%, and sorry for that, minimum is 0.5% peroxide which we use. Okay, and we should not mix it with vinegar. Okay, and it should be left for 10 minutes in an area. So we are using hydrogen peroxide for fogging of, suppose there is an operation theater in which you operated on a corona positive cases. So you use hydrogen peroxide for fogging. Okay, for fogging we use hydrogen peroxide, or for sterilization of OTs and all, sterilization of ward, we can use hydrogen peroxide, which should be used in 0.5% solution. Okay, 0.5% is also for sodium hypochlorite, and 0.5% sodium hypochlorite is used for entry area, it is used for cleaning the surfaces, and it is also used 0.5% sodium hypochlorite to clean the goggles and face sheet. 3 use of sodium hypochlorite. entry area, goggles and face shade, and all the surfaces by 0.5% sodium hypochlorite. Hydrogen peroxide for disinfection of OTs, and then you have alcohol hand sanitizer. We have discussed that. So now let's discuss some other factors related to it. First of all, what is the mode of transmission? Which we all know that the mode of transmission is by two methods. One is by droplet, or second is by contact. Okay, by droplets or contact. Okay, contact. So by droplet, if we are discussing that, in the droplet section there can be two type of droplet. First type of droplet, which is known as droplet nuclei. Droplet nuclei is something which has less than 0.5 micrometer diameter. Okay, and other are just droplets, which is more than, and this is less than 0.5, and this should be 5 to 10.5 to 0.5 to 1 micrometer diameter. So this droplet nuclei, which are very less in size, of course this is more contagious, more infectious. Okay, and if you are removing the ventilator of a corona patient, or if you are coming in close contact to the corona patient, then this droplet nuclei which mostly enter into your body, and that causes the corona infection. So the main is through this droplet nuclei. Now second is that this droplet, one thing is it can directly come from one person to another if the person lies in the distance of 1 meter. Okay, second thing is that this droplet can lie on non-living surfaces like handles of gate or like table and all. Suppose I coughed and I have corona, then it will be on the laptop and all. So this is indirect contact, and if someone is coming and touching it, then that will be having, it is indirect contact. So one is direct contact through nuclei, this droplets and all. Second is indirect contact. Then they say that it remains around up to 3 hours. If you coughed, then it can sustain maximum up to 3 hours on surfaces or in the environment. But there was a wide scale study done in China which say that this virus is not present in the air. Okay, it is not transmitted by air, but it is transmitted from one person to another when someone come in close contact with the patient, either through droplet nuclei or through contact with any infected area. Okay, now next thing which is more important to learn is RO. Okay, RO is defined as the reproduction number. Okay, what do you mean by reproduction number? They can ask about it. So reproduction number means number of people infected by one patient. Okay, if all the population is susceptible. Okay, not if. We if in place of if we can also write assuming, and assuming is much better word. Assuming all the population is susceptible. What do you mean? Reproduction number simply means that if I am suffering from corona, how many more people I can infect. Okay, so remember the reproduction number in coronavirus is 2 to 3. Okay, there is no clear data which say either it is 2 or 3, but they say 2 to 3. It is around it is 2.4 right now. And the reproduction number in case of influenza, okay, avian influenza and all, that reproduction number was only 1.7. So how does it matter? How does the reproduction number decide the spread. So if you look at the curve of the cases with time, and as these are the cases, this is the time. Okay, these are the number of cases and time. So if the reproduction number RO is 1, that means one person is infecting one other person, then you can get a curve something like this. If the infection number is 1.7, then you can get a curve something like this. If the infection number is 2.3, then you can get a curve something like this. So this is when RO is 2.4 for corona. This is when RO is equal to 1.7. And this is when RO is roughly equal to 1.3 or something, 1.2 or something. And so RO decide the curve of spread, reproduction number, because it simply means how many people one per patient can infect. And it is reproduction number is, in case of corona, it is 2 to 3. Now, let's just talk about the test of corona which we are doing. The test of corona which we are doing, we have already discussed that is the RT-PCR and a reverse transcriptase polymerase chain reaction. And so in this reverse transcriptase polymerase chain reaction, you know that they take the sample of nasopharyngeal cavity and oropharyngeal, and from that sample, if they found one copy of virus, they can replicate the RNA of the virus and they can check the genetic sequence to know whether the patient is positive or not. Now, WHO says that RT-PCR has sensitivity of 30 to 80%. Okay, 80%. In his WHO, they say 30 to 80% is the sensitivity. But it is something which people still assume that because it is RT-PCR, so it should be 95% around. But WHO say in various RT-PCR testing specimen, it was 30 to 80%. Now, if you look at the specificity, you know na, sensitivity means how many are true positive, how many are suffering from corona and came positive on test, divided by how many are total diseased. Okay, that is sensitivity. Specificity of RT-PCR is something which they say is around 99%. It cannot be like, even if it is highly specific, it is around 99%. So we have to understand this disease of corona and the test in the form of Bayes theorem. So we are going to discuss this Bayes theorem now. Okay, what does Bayes theorem says? Bayes theorem says that if a disease is very rare in the population, if the prevalence is low, if less number of people are suffering from it, then that disease, if detected by any test, will give a very high number of false positive. Why they will give high number of false positive? Because there are very few number of actual person who are suffering from disease. The prevalence is very less. Okay, so this is the equation of Bayes theorem which I have written over here. What is D here? D means corona disease. Okay, the patient is having disease, that is D. And T means it is test positive. Okay, so PD by T means probability of having a disease patient as test positive. Okay, so what is PD by T? This is probability of PD by T is probability of corona patient, and because D means corona patient, so probability of corona patient coming positive on test. And this what we want to know, that suppose I got positive result on corona testing, then what is the probability that I actually suffer from corona? And what are the chances that I am suffering from corona on getting a positive result? So probability of corona patient coming positive on RT-PCR. Okay, this is D by T. D by T simply means that out of the diseased corona patient, how many are tested positive? Okay, T means tested positive, D means disease. D means disease, T means test positive. Simple. Okay, no doubt. Okay, disease and test positive. So the Bayes theorem say that probability of getting diseased corona people as positive is equal to PT by D. What is PT by D? PT by D means probability of testing positive out of disease. So test positive out of disease means you can write this PT by D as sensitivity. This is the sensitivity. Sensitivity, because sensitivity means, you understand, true positive out of total disease. So this is what we are getting, test positive out of total disease. So this is sensitivity, and it is multiplied by probability of disease. PD means what? Probability of disease. It is divided by PT. PT means probability of getting tested positive result. Probability of testing positive. Getting positive, getting testing positive result. Okay. So I hope you can understand this equation. It is simply saying that if you got positive, if you are positive for corona, if you have the disease corona, what are the chances that you will test positive? So that depends on sensitivity multiplied by probability of disease divided by probability of testing positive. Okay. Now, this PT, PT means test positive. This test positive, you must be knowing, it is of two type. Two type of people can test positive. One type of people are those which are true positive, and one type of people who are false positive. There are two type of positive. Ones who are wrongly said as positive, one who are correctly said as positive. So, true positive is what? It is written like this. This is the true positive. True positive means sensitivity into probability of disease. Because sensitivity means what? It is true positive by total disease. So if you multiply true positive by total disease into disease, total disease, then this total disease will cancel, and you will get that. I hope you are understanding it. Let me make it clear that true positive can be written as sensitivity multiplied by total positive. Why you can write true positive as sensitivity into total positive? Because sensitivity means true positive by total disease, sorry, total disease ही लिखना था यहाँ पे मुझे. Total disease. Okay, this is total disease. So true positive can be written as sensitivity into total disease, because sensitivity means true positive by total disease. So that will ultimately cancel, both the total disease will cancel out, and you will get true positive only. Okay. So test positive can be of two type. It can be truly positive, it can be falsely positive. True positive can be written as the same as above. This is the same thing, sensitivity into probability of disease. And false positive can be written as false positive rate multiplied by probability of getting disease free. What is DF means? DF means disease free population. Okay, so I know first time if you are listening to Bayes theorem, it can be a bit difficult. I invested a lot of time in looking at all the videos of Bayes theorem to understand it. And still I have to remember the formula. I have to write it down also. So it's okay if you are not understanding it the first time, but I just want to tell you this main theorem, that probability of getting positive result is sensitivity into probability of disease by probability of getting positive result. PT means probability of testing positive. Now, this testing positive can be two type. True positive, this is true positive, and this part is the false positive. Okay. So now let's apply the data and look what is the probability of getting a positive result when you are suffering from corona. So the sensitivity is 30 to 80%, but let's take as 95%. Specificity is 99%, which is the most highest I can take. Okay. And which is mostly claimed by RT-PCR. Prevalence is 1%, but this is also a bit more, because Indian government says that we have 0.8 cases per lakh, and I am saying 1 case in 100. So even if it is 1 case in 100, then the prevalence is 1%. If the prevalence is 1%, that means 1 out of 100 is suffering, 1 out of 100 is positive for corona, and a 1% means kya? 1 out of 100 is positive, and 99 out of 100 is disease free. Because if 1 is suffering from disease, that means 99 is disease free. So let's apply this formula to know the probability of getting the test positive when you have corona. So as I said, the formula includes sensitivity multiplied by, what is this thing? This was probability of disease. So what is the probability of disease? 1%. So 1% means 1 out of 100. 1 out of 100 means 0.01. So sensitivity into probability of disease divided by sensitivity into probability of disease plus false positive rate into total population which are not suffering from disease. So I already said that 99 out of 100 is disease free. So how many are disease free? 99%. So 99% means 0.99. And what is 0.01? 0.01, as I said earlier, is false positive rate. Why it is equal to 1%? Why false positive rate is 1% here? Because specificity, I have written, is 99%. Okay, and you already have, I am very sure that you might have read it, that false positive rate is equal to 1 minus specificity. Okay, so if you subtract 1 from 0.99, you will get 0.01. Okay, that's how we are getting the false positive rate as 0.01. So when you put all the value, you will get 0.09. That means probability of having corona when tested positive on RT-PCR is only 49%. That means there is 50% chance that you are having corona, and there is 50% chance that you don't have corona. So out of 100, if one person is saying that if one person is positive for corona and he will be tested positive, then there will be one more person who are positive but who is not suffering from corona. That means out of 100, if we get one true positive, I will also get one false positive. Okay, so there are 50% who are truly diseased, 50% who are free from disease. Okay, that's what comes from Bayes theorem. And recently the Trump government also, they announced this thing that the test is not very sure short test, and it can make you give false positive also. WHO also said that this RT-PCR, it cross-react with some of the older coronavirus sample. Okay, that means if you are positive, it's not 100% sure that you have corona. There is 50% chance that you don't have corona but it still came positive. Okay, now one more concept which I want to give you, that is about, please remember this concept of Bayes theorem. Bayes theorem is only correct because this coronavirus is very rare, and for rare disease, even if it is highly specific test, there will be some false positive. Okay, so you get such type of data. Now, did you understand it, or do I need to give you one more example to make it understand it? Let's take one more example, just simpler example to understand it. Suppose you are testing for, let's say, corona only, let's say you are testing, and for corona you are using a test that is 95% sensitive, or let's take some other disease to make it clear to you. Let's say you are testing for influenza. Okay, you are testing for influenza. No, influenza is very common. So let's say you are testing for drug resistant TB, you are testing, and how you are testing for drug resistant TB? By CBNAT. cartridge based nucleic acid amplification test, है ना. So it is 95% sensitive, and it is, again let's say it is 99% specific, or let's say 95% specific, है ना. Let's say, just for example, and this is not the correct specificity, I am just taking it example specificity. And there are 204 new cases of TB each year per lakh population each year, and this is known as the incidence rate of TB. 204 out of 10 out of 1 lakh population. So let's also take this as 1%, okay, because 204 in 1 lakh, so 200 in 1 lakh, so 200 in 1 lakh, 1 lakh means 50, you know, 50. So if you are removing 20, it is again, it's roughly, let's say 1%, you know. So let's say the prevalence is 1%, prevalence of disease is 1%, or that means 0.01. So how many are disease free? If there are 100 people, then 99% are disease free, or disease free will be 0.99. Okay. So what is the probability of having TB and tested positive? Okay. The probability of having TB and tested positive will be equal to sensitivity, sensitivity multiplied by probability of having disease, and a sensitivity can also be written as probability of test positive by TB, and this is also sensitivity. Anyway, so sensitivity into PD by probability of test positive, and probability of test positive. This is the Bayes theorem which we read. So if you apply it, the equation in this, the probability of having TB and test positive can be written as 0.95 into 0.01, because that is the probability of disease. And P test positive can be divided into two parts. One part are true positive rate and a true positive rate. So what is the true positive rate? This will be again the same, zero sensitivity into prevalence. Okay, and along with that we add, if you look here, we add, the formula, original formula, we add the false positive rate. So what is the false positive? It will be the false positive rate, because specificity I said 99%. So the false positive rate will be 0.01 multiplied by people who are not suffering from disease. So not suffering from disease is 99%. So this will be like this, and if you will solve this equation, you will get 0.49, and that's what we get in corona case also, that there is 50% chance that you are positive if you have corona, and 50% chance that you are positive without corona. Now let's understand one last concept related to corona. This concept is that, suppose this is the curve of the disease of corona. Okay, here I am writing number of cases, okay, which are there, and this line, or let's say this line, is representing the capacity of health system. Okay, capacity of health system. So the problem which we are facing right now is, because health system is mostly filled, but in last 1-2 months most of the patient went back and we did not admitted much of the patient. So we generated some free bed, and we also created some special center, but our capacity is very less. So now probably in the month of June we will have patient who are more than the health system can adjust. So there will be bed will be in shortage, and people will suffer, and they will not get good treatment also. So there are two methods which the government use here. One thing is, they either can lower the curve, they can make the curve more flat, flatten the curve, or second thing they can do is, they can raise the cutoff to this level. Okay, so either you raise the cutoff, that means increase the capacity of health system, or you lower the transmission and lower the number of cases. Okay, so the number of cases is here. So one thing is flatten the curve. Flatten the curve. How we can flatten the curve means what? Flatten the curve means decrease number of cases or decrease number of cases. How we can decrease number of cases? Decrease number of cases by lockdown, decrease number of cases by giving chemoprophylaxis, decrease number of cases by social distancing, hand washing and all. This can decrease the number of cases and it can flatten the curve. Second is raise the bar. Raise the bar means you should increase the health capacity. You should increase the number of bed, which China did, and it constructed a 10,000 bed hospital only for corona patient, and then so it increases the number of bed. So raise the bar, that means increase bed capacity in health hospital, increase bed capacity, okay, in hospitals. So there are two ways in which we can deal with this type of large number of cases. One thing is we can raise the bar. Second thing is we can flatten the curve. Okay, so by these two methods, all the country are practicing this control of disease. Okay, now the last concept which I want to tell you about is this SIR. Okay, how some scientists are detecting that in June we will have a peak of corona and it will subside in September. They are calculating it with SIR. Okay, this is the way to calculate the future of corona. So what is SIR? S stand for susceptible. Okay, I stand for infectious or infective, and infectious, infected, infective. Okay, susceptible, you understand now, those who can acquire infection, who are not yet immune. Okay, and R means recovered, recovered population. So susceptible population is S, infective population is I, and recovered population is R. Now ds by dt, what is ds by dt? You can say it as rate of change of susceptible population, rate of increase or decrease of susceptible population, rate of change of susceptible population. Okay, rate of change of susceptible population. So this rate of change of susceptible population is given by minus A into I into S. Okay, what is this I? We already read. I means infective population, and I is infective population. S means susceptible population, and ds by dt is rate of change of susceptible population. Okay, so we always know that susceptible population is going to decrease in the future, because right now we all are not having immunity, but if corona infection continued in our community, then we all gradually become immune and there will be less susceptible people. So the susceptible is something which is highest in the beginning, and susceptible population always decreases. That's why there is this minus sign, because susceptible population is always decreasing. And A is known as transmission coefficient. Transmission coefficient. Okay, coefficient. So basically it is a constant also, transmission coefficient or transmission constant. And we can decrease the transmission by social distancing, by lockdown and all. What is I and S means? I and S means as there is interaction between infective and susceptible, there will be more spread. And as there is more spread, so the susceptible people number decreases. And those who can acquire infection, who are not immune, their number decreases. Now, if you write as di by dt, what is di by dt means? Di by dt means rate of change of infective population. So the rate of change of infective population, this is something which is equal to AIS, but this time positive AIS, because as susceptible will interact with susceptible will interact with infective people, the infection will spread. So it is plus AIS, and there is minus BR. What is R? R means recovery, number of people who are recovering. Because if everyone acquire infection, we all know that 50% patient are recovering very well. And recovery rate is always higher in India and it is less in Gujarat state, and you all have heard of this news. So recovery is something which will happen from the infected population. Some people will recover, so you will subtract that. So A was the transmission constant and B is, you can say it is the recovery constant or recovery constant. Okay. So, and how will you find the rate of recovery? What is rate of recovery? Rate of recovery is equal to BR. Simple. And the recovery rate is equal to recovery coefficient into the number of people who recovered. Okay. Rate of recovery, patient change. Okay. So, by using these three equations, they do the differentiation of this equation, and by differentiation, they then calculate that how it changes. Okay. And they say that if you, let's say, if I am writing di by dt, in this formula of di by dt, if you do the differentiation and all, you will find that RO, which is the reproduction number, we discussed that the reproduction number in case of coronavirus is 2 to 3. And so this reproduction number also come from this formula, and it is equal to ASO by B. What is A? Transmission coefficient. And what is B? It is recovery constant, and SO is the susceptible at the beginning. Okay. Susceptible population at beginning of infection. Okay. So from here we get the reproduction number, which is 2 to 3. So how can we decrease the reproduction number? How can we decrease the spread? First method is decrease the transmission. And decrease transmission. This is the transmission coefficient. And we all know that transmission can be decreased if we are doing lockdown, if we are doing hand washing and all. And B is recovery. So how we can improve recovery? By using new drug like hydroxychloroquine they are saying to use, but never use hydroxychloroquine with azithromycin, because if they use together, it can prolong the QT interval. Okay, it can cause arrhythmia. Then we also use, you all know, remdesivir, and there are newer agent or lopinavir plus ritonavir can be used. But lopinavir and ritonavir should not be used in liver failure cases, because it is more dangerous to liver. So this is the reproduction number which we use. It is also calculated from SIR. Please understand, this is the way to find out the spread of a pandemic in the future. Susceptible population, infective population, and recovered population, SIR. Okay. So that's all from this discussion of epidemiology of coronavirus. And I am again requesting you, please go to the AIIMS site. If you are going to give the AIIMS exam right now, or if you are going to give your future exam also, go to the AIIMS site and look at the 7 videos which they have posted under basic of COVID-19. Please, because I don't want you to go there in the exam without looking at these videos, because they will at least give, I think they will give at least 50% question in this test by the coronavirus. This is my estimate that this is going to be the most important topic for your AIIMS exam, at least if you are going to give it right now. If any future exam again, it will be important. So go through those videos also posted on YouTube. And if you had any difficulty in understanding this concepts which I discussed here, you can always mail me on docashwani23@gmail.com, and we can clear the doubts which we have. Okay. So thank you very much for listening. Okay. My phone number is 8860796675. Okay. Thank you very much for listening. Have a nice day. Enjoy learning, and love your studies, love your patient, love your life. Thank you very much. Hasta la vista. Das vidania. Bye bye.